Hello. It is the second part of revamping Eula will be proud guide.
Order guide you.
This guide is still 5-star items free. There are also no C6 characters. The only advantage is C2, Mika. This time I'll talk about team setup, advantages and disadvantages, those who have no idea what I'm talking about. You better go watch previous parts of the story. Before I start explaining the thing, I'd love you to keep in mind that everything I say is based on what I have. What do I mean saying this? Well, let's imagine that I have Vendi. In that case, party will be perfect against the crowd. See for yourself.
Got me worked up. Look at me.
However, I haven't opened this character yet. So, from the top of my head, I'll give you some tactics to choose one among them. The idea of this tactic is to freeze your opponents and hit them with no obstacles then. It seems to me this is the only crowd control I have so far. Let's watch some examples before I'll tell about its disadvantage. As you see, the damage is kinda small. It is so because we don't activate artifact bonus. Unfortunately, the only character that will be appropriate here among those I have is Chi-Chi, but her CD is too long to meet our needs. However, Mona or Kokomi would be the best Hydro choice here. The advantages of that build are great crowd control and damage with no obstacles. However, it won't work forever. Some types of enemies can't be frozen, and also, it requires 5-star character, so I consider this build inappropriate for me. If you liked that build though, and know not which artifacts to use, wait for the third part. There's still a lot to test. The aim of that build is to gain a big number of attack, crit rate, crit DMG and lower enemies diff as much as possible. This build hits with charged attacks. I must say here that I'm unable to show you full potential of that build because I'm getting trolled on artifacts. Still, can I show you the concept and its disadvantage? The party needs to pyro characters to gain 25% attack buff. One of them should be Bennett. Yet the second one should have a long-lasting E attack to activate the bonus from the set of tenacity of the Miller. Out of what I have, the best choice is Yangling. However, Dehyo will be better, so her simps are welcomed. Since there's no cryo element for the Traveler yet, he's Electro. Now we need cryo to lower the diff of enemies. C6 Rosario, or Shenna will be the best choices. I don't have them though, so I'll be good with the ult of Rosario. Speaking about the advantages, it is a powerful build without many conditions to be met. However, besides requiring high stats, there's one disadvantage that makes me hate it. It is attached to a certain place on the field. When I put Bennett's buff, my full potential is in within. Now see what happens often. So, I consider that build inappropriate as well. This build has same idea as the charger, but instead of being attached to a place, this build creates its own one. Instead of two pyro characters, it uses two geo ones, one of which is the traveler. Besides them, you need cryo and electro characters to reduce enemies' diff. The idea is to spawn yourself a shield and deal damage with plunging attacks then. This build helps you to fight a big crowd effectively, but it's useless against bosses because they break the rock too often. This build doesn't control anybody, it isn't attached to any place. Instead, it runs around and destroys everything in its path.
Leave the wounded to me.
You're cramping out.
Leave the wounded to me. Neutralizing.
So, the advantages. This build has a constant healing. Its burst doesn't limit your movements, it has constant shields to save us from being stunned. The Traveler produces a lot of geo-elemental energy which charges the Jinzo. You can hide from many attacks behind a rock. However, lack of crit rate greatly reduces the damage. And of course, just as well as most mentioned builds, it is completely useless against flying enemies. That's how you do between elemental bursts. Geo particles should be received by geo characters. Cryo particles by cryo characters. Otherwise you'll receive less energy.
Neutralizing threats.
Bond is strong.
Let's keep going, team.
Strike is one. Flags up. And step.
This is the end of the second part. All the builds had the Traveler with the same set of artifacts, which are kinda weak. And there's no any superpower constellation. The third part should be about the best artifacts to use with represented builds. However, I've started to think that I won't get the good ones, so here's what I would like to test.